dark. We're leaving St Patrick's Island and we're heading out to the end of the river and around the corner to hopefully the Mermaid and Careening Bay. See ya.
One of the main reasons we don't travel at night up here in the Kimberley, number one, there's a lot of uncharted waters, but number two, there's a lot of trees floating down, as you can see here. Imagine hitting that in your plastic fantastic, hey? It'd put a ruin to your morning. I reckon that'd spear straight through the side of a lot of production boats. Yeah, she's a ripper. Wow! It's like half a metre higher than the surrounding water.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whirlpools are pretty crazy. Just cannot get the impact on video. Oh, that one just there. It's about 10 metres across, and it's just sucking down. Just going through a big one at the moment, swinging the boat around. There's a big one there, and this point just to my right here is called Whirlpool Point. That's a monster of a whirlpool. And swinging the boat around 40 degrees to port, 40 degrees to starboard. Yeah, that's a ripper. You can visually see that one. It's about half a metre difference. The video doesn't really do it justice, but some of these whirlpools are visually higher, it's a big one, higher than the surrounding water by, up to like, it looks like nearly half a metre. I wish you could see it on the video. Look at that whirlpool there, that is a rip snorter. Wow! That is an absolute monster. That'd be a metre and a half higher. Hole in the middle, I wouldn't want to get caught in that one. Wow! We left St George Basin this morning. It's the most picturesque place. We left in the dark, but we were lucky enough to get in there yesterday at sunset, and it's so picturesque. Big red cliffs all around pretty well. Absolutely beautiful. It was a calm night, no wind. We stayed on anchor in the same spot pretty well all night, except Peanut decided to do a 360 around the boat. And then we left about an hour before sunup to get the last of the tide to get out of the river. And now the wind's doing about 10 knots, and we're using the last of the tide in our favour, heading around Cape Brewster, which is just up here. You've got Cape Brewster and Bat Island. And then we'll either stop, depending on, now I've read a couple of guides on, there's a pass between the mainland and an island up here. It's a fairly tricky pass, and one book says the tide floods west and one book says the tide floods east. So we're just about at low tide when we come around the cape here. So the tide's either going to assist or hinder, and we won't know until we get there. I could call on the radio and ask one of the boats on the other side, but that's not what blokes do. We suck it and see. So yeah, that's this morning. We're just sailing along at 4 knots. We don't usually do 4 knots in 9 knots of breeze, but we have got the wind helping, the tide helping us. Shore's just there, so we can stay pretty close because it's not a lee shore. We're in 15 metres of water. We're finally in charted waters, so we actually know what's in front of us. For the last 5 days, it's all been uncharted, so you have to sort of guess if there's any rocks coming up. And we were lucky because we anchored in one little spot, and a mate of mine, Lenny, on Discovery 1, one of the cruise ships here, came past and he said, "Magnus, you're a little bit too close to some rocks there, mate." And I said, "Thank you." So the rocks, well, of course it was high tide, the rocks couldn't see them. And there was a 9 metre tide there. So we moved, and then at low tide, we saw the rocks and they were right next to us. So thanks, Lenny. I doubt you'll ever be watching this, but thanks, mate. So yeah, it's nice to be back in charted waters where you actually know what's coming up. You know if there's going to be a rock or a reef. Because we did hit that reef last week, and I might talk about that later on. It's something I don't really want to talk about because it's embarrassing. Uncharted waters. But if I had read the 2 guidebooks that we use, I would have known that there was a rock there. But anyway, let's not talk about the reef. So the wind's dying right out now. It's down to 5 knots. So we're doing 2 knots, which is just the tide helping us along. Sails are just starting to flog a little bit, so it might be time to have a cup of tea. See ya. This is Bat Island. Captain Phillip Parker King, who, as you know, not only my hero, but also one of the first surveyors that really did a good survey of this region. He named that because as he approached it, he disturbed a flock, it's called a flock of bats, a colony of bats, and the bats flew off, so he named it Bat Island. And the cape that's nearly attached to it is Cape Brewster. It's just a little gap between the two. And then we're going to once we come around here, we'll know which way the tide's going. I think it's in our favour because we are doing 6.8 knots and we normally motor at 6.5. So, but we won't know until we're right around the cape. If the tide's against us, we'll pull into the cape here and camp up for the day. Otherwise, we'll continue on through this narrow pass. It's 100 metres wide at its narrowest. And continue on to Careening Bay, which is another very famous spot for Mr. Parker King, Captain Parker King, where he careened his boat, the Mermaid, because it was in dire need of repairs. I'll tell you all about that once we get there, eh? See ya.
We're just heading into Careening Bay to look at the place where King careened and fixed his boat, and we're going to look at the Boab.
Imagine the scene here in 18 19, I think it was, or 21. I can't remember. 19, I think it was, or 20. Where the mermaid was careened. She was laid up there, and they would have had, like the blacksmith would have had his forge going to bend all the bits of steel that had to be bent, and the carpenters would have been busy making little fittings and stuff, and the cook would have been cooking up, you know, meals for the men, and it would have been a hive of activity right here while they repaired the mermaid. I think they were here for, I want to say 16 days, but I'm sure you can research it if you want. But anyway, right here, very significant spot. He chose this because there's a freshwater stream just down there. It's a very slow, slight embankment here with a fairly steep up, so he could choose exactly where he wanted to put the vessel, because he moved the vessel during the careening. And yeah, unreal. Feels good to be here. You really feel like, you know, because I've read so much about King, and this is like the one place where it's a bit like Cook when you're down the Endeavour River, and you feel close to. I don't know how to explain it, but it's a special feeling being somewhere where significant things occurred, I suppose. Yeah, this is a very significant spot for King. This is where he repaired the vessel so that he could continue on to Timor and then back all the way around, and the rest of the story's in the book. But yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on Peanut because she's getting spun around by the waves here. Anyway, catch you later.
Just giving her a longer leash. Alright, let's go and check this side out. It's up here, but it's not hard to find. You just follow the footprints.
Yeah. There's the site. 3 of the most beautiful things in the world.
Aww.
Wendy, Peanut, and Nutshell.
That's great.
At least had the sense not to put handrails up. I agree with the boardwalk to stop damage to the tree, but it's nice that they didn't put handrails up, just for your safety. I bet you he never thought there'd be this much interest in it.
That's a baby one.
Baby Little Mermaid tree.
That's a baby ready for its future.
Ready for the next level of exploring.
200 years, it will turn into one of these. Hard to believe, really.
So what do you think of that, Wen?
Oh, it's amazing. I didn't expect it to be that big.
No, it's pretty big.
3 times the size of what I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like you're stepping back in time.
I know, it's pretty crazy. Yeah. And it was 1820. I should have known because inscription on the tree is 1820. Yeah, it's a well-worn path to get here.
Yeah.
I reckon, well, there's been 2 boats in the last 24 hours, 2 punter boats, and each one of them would have 50 people. So 100 people have been here just yesterday.
Yeah.
So well-worn track. and they've put a stainless steel and recycled plastic boardwalk around the tree just to stop those tens of thousands of people every year compacting the soil around the base of the tree to try and give it a chance.
Yeah.
Which is good of them. Them being Parks and Wildlife or CALM or whoever did that, which is fantastic. And they kept it low profile and low impact for us visitors as well, and a couple of interpretation boards there as well to tell us about King, and there's some of the scientists that travel with King, and also a bit about the Prince Regent National Park. So yeah, pretty good little spot. It's one of those tick items.
Yeah.
The Kimberley should have a T-shirt with little boxes, and you just get your Sharpie or your outline out and give it a tick as you go.
Might make one.
Past each one. At any rate, we're going to head back to the boat now, utilise this bit of breeze that's around, and continue sailing up the coast a little bit. Coronation Island's there in the background.
Yeah.
If you could only see what we can see, it's just... you should all be here. Yeah, hop on your boats and come to the Kimberley. It's just... What are our 3 words for the Kimberley?
Awesome.
Yep, number 1.
Stressful.
Number 2, even just then going through that 100-metre wide pass, stressful. Because all of a sudden we had 2 knots of wind, and then as we were getting to the pass, 25 knots of breeze.
On the nose.
On the nose. And the last word?
Lonely.
Lonely.
There's nobody here.
We just haven't seen a boat for weeks.
Not a cruising boat.
Oh no, not cruisers.
You'll see lots of commercial boats.
You'll see lots of punters, but they don't really want to talk to us dirty cruisers. But there's just no one here. So yeah, awesome, stressful, and lonely. That's the Kimberley's wrapped up in 3 words.
Yep.
But anyway, catch you later.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.
Broken bits of coral.
Time to go back to the boat.
They're too quick. We've been here, what, 15 minutes?
Yeah, that's how quickly the tides come in. Look at that. Look where the anchor is now. Alright, what are you doing, babe?
Well, we've been dragging that Qantas lure around for 2 weeks without a fish. Trying to change colours. Same lure, Laser Pro 190. Single hook. So we'll give it a crack.
Well, after much planning and weather and tides and all of that, we ended up at Ivy Cove. So we're just going to go ashore and check it out. So there's a boab on this little beach that has an inscription in it. So we're going to go and check that out. No footprints here. Oh, they wrote on the little one.
And the big one. All the...
And
See,
the big
Ivy,
one.
I-V-Y. Because it used to be the done thing. It used to be nice to leave your mark without being graffiti.
Yeah. And big letters on this one, IVY. Wow. 1910, you say?
Can't quite read. 9
It was a pearling lugger.
used to anchor in this bay. Wendy's new little friend. We call him Hermie.
Look at his eyeballs.
Apparently he's got eyeballs.
Sticking out on top of his little sticks. Wow. So Magnus gave me a handful of these and told me to shut my eyes. So that was a bit freaky because they were moving. And you never quite know what you're going to get with Magnus. Could be anything.
Scorpions. Nearly pig face.
So is it edible or not?
Yep. Very edible. But you'll die.
We've just left Ivy Cove and we are now heading towards Rainforest Ravine. There's virtually no wind, so we're just motoring now. We were trying to sail earlier. So we'll see where we end up. You never quite know. Yeah. Or something. Like that's the rock bar up there. Where are we and what are we doing?
We're just going for a trip down Rainforest Ravine. To keep an eye on the sounder because it's starting to get shallow. Yeah, so we're going to have a bit of a butcher's. See what's down there. So we've just been up to the waterfall at Rainforest Ravine. Now, just walking back. This section here's got a nice little track, but most of it's over really horrible rocks that you've got to balance on. But I've got my best walking boots on, so I'm right. Yeah, it's really beautiful coming through here.